What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it may seem like just yesterday when HP held that event in February in San Francisco, but believe it or not, it's been several months. But the HP TouchPad is out now. It's available in 16 and 32 gigabyte versions, Wi-Fi for $499 and $599 respectively. And overall, it's nice to see webOS on a tablet. First webOS tablet. Now that said, the reviews are kind of mixed on this device. A lot of people are having issues with freezes, random reboots, things like that. I've had some issues in my testing with it as well, and I'm going to show you those, or at least try to show you some of those in the review. Now that said, everything experiences a reboot from time to time. Is it enough to make people go away from the touchpad and from webOS and go to something else like the Apple iPad 2? We'll find out in the full review. But first, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy. They don't hook us up with tablets, but what they do hook us up with is a lot of cool phones. And if I could pan over my desk, I'd show you stuff like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you walk out working. They'll help you set up your web, your email, and more. So when you walk out, you're good to go. Enough of that, let's get into the review. Is this the tablet to get, or is it too buggy for mainstream use? We'll find out that in the full HP TouchPad review, which starts right now. If I had to come up with one word to describe the HP TouchPad, I would say shattered. And the reason why I say shattered is because it hurts my heart that this tablet is so frustrating to use. webOS, as I've said before in a bunch of these videos, is one of the best mobile operating systems out there. It's just not optimized for a tablet. This tablet is riddled with errors and issues and reboots and restarts. And unfortunately, in its current form, I can't recommend this tablet. I mean, I love webOS, and it's troubling to say that because you look at HP and Palm beforehand, you look at webOS before that. Great operating system. It's just been plagued with terrible hardware since the beginning. It's a mobile, a very versatile operating system that does well, and it's fast when it works. And all in all, the specs on this tablet are quite good. It has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor, 9.7-inch display. It does not have a rear-facing camera, which is getting a lot of criticism. You can see all those fingerprints too. It's a fingerprint magnet because of how glossy it is. It's that typical rounded kind of Palm/HP look and feel with you can see kind of, just plasticky kind of toy look, if you will. No rear-facing camera. Front-facing camera, though, 1.3 megapixels. The downside is it can only be used for chat purposes. It can't be used to take pictures. There's no native camera application out of the box on this. But you can get it in two builds. You can get it in 16 or 32 gigabytes Wi-Fi on both of those for $499, $599 respectively. And it's running webOS 3.0. And let me think what else. I think I said 9.7-inch display. But all in all, it's just, it's riddled. I've, been working with it for about a week. I stopped counting at 24 reboots over the past week. So it'll just randomly freeze up, it'll stop working, and it stops, it can be pressing the power button, it can be loading up a setting. I see it a lot when I'm loading up like something in the settings, trying to change a setting or tweak something. I see it there. Unfortunately, given that, I can't recommend it over something that's much more fluid like Android 3.0, 3.1 now. And iOS 5, well 4 now, 5 coming on the iPad 2. But you can see, webOS on a tablet, it's nice to see it, and the functionality is very similar in a lot of ways to that of the webOS phone. So let's just jump right in. I want to show you some of the specs. I don't want to talk too much about the device itself, but you can see volume rocker over here. You can see micro USB charging port there on the bottom. You can see speakers on the bottom, or on the side rather, and power button there up top with a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So here it is, webOS 3.0 in all its glory, and you'll notice some tablet differences. First of all, up here, you can see the time, it gives you the battery percentage, and I'm going to try to sway some of these lights, or push some of these lights away so it doesn't give so much of a glare on the display. But you can see the battery percentage, you can see the Wi-Fi is connected, VPN, Bluetooth, you can turn on airplane mode, you can turn on rotation lock, which I have it rotated and locked so we can work with it, in landscape mode, and then you can mute the sound as well. So you have all those different options, and then down here you have your typical dock that you remember from webOS, in which you can remove stuff and change stuff around if you so desire. So I can bring web back down if I want to, and put it right back where it belongs. But let's just start by browsing the web and show you what the web looks like. And again, webOS, incredibly versatile, really pretty operating system. It really pioneered, in my opinion, multitasking in a lot of different ways. Android and iOS have taken, and even BlackBerry with the QNX platform, have taken cues from the webOS playbook. But you can see here, we'll load up PhoneDog.com, just so you can see the browser and see what it looks like. And then you have your web over here, and you can go to preferences or help just like you can on your webOS smartphone. You see it loads up pretty quickly. Obviously it's running on Wi-Fi. And when the device works, it's one of those things like I talked about in the first impressions. When the device works, it's fast. You can see there's little to no lag whatsoever. Things are speedy. I click out, I can either get rid of it, or I can open up a new page, whatever, and it loads up relatively quickly. So I mean, when it works, the lag, and when there's no lag whatsoever. I mean, you can browse through stuff, you can open up several cards. The problem is it just reboots all the darn time. So you can see here, pinch to zoom, I mean, incredibly responsive, little to no lag. You can see a little bit of checkerboarding, but other than that, little no lag there, and you can scroll through the phone dog page. This 9.7-inch display is nice, and you can see, the one challenge is, and I'm not going to turn it over where you can see it in portrait, but the challenge is it is a little bit wider. So just like the iPad 2, which also has a 9.7-inch display, it's hard to type on when you're using it in portrait, as opposed to something like an 8.9-inch display or 7-inch display like that on the Playbook and the original Galaxy Tab. But you can see here, pinch to zoom, very clean, very easy to use. And then over here, I can either add it as a bookmark, I can share the link, add to the launcher, I can open up a second window, and what will happen here when I click on this, it'll bring up a second one, just like that. And so when I scroll out, I can see my different windows here, and I can either click on the phone dog one and make it the primary one, or I can bring up the new one that I just opened up. So very functional, very fluid, easy. Pages look good, they load, the text looks good, a little bit of checkerboarding like I said, but overall, the browser performance is great. And like I said, I'm going to turn off rotation lock actually, so you can see, when it works, it works. The transition effects are relatively quick. It's really, evident that it's running a dual-core processor, or at least something fast. But unfortunately, the reboots just get a little bit old. So you can see that's what phone dog looks like, and you can see, we'll go down, for example, to just a video, just so you can see how that loads up. And we'll come down here, and you can see the page. I mean, again, it's on Wi-Fi, but it's loading relatively quickly. And then while I'm doing that, I can load up, calendar, whatever, bring up a second card. And while that's loading, I can go over here. And I opened up that one. I don't want that one, don't want that one. And I accidentally got rid of phone dog. So we'll bring that back up. So you can see, and the keyboard's pretty functional as well. I wouldn't say, I think the iPad, the iOS keyboard's a little bit more functional in terms of typing and autocorrection, but it's certainly good on this one. I think it beats the Playbook. I think it comes in slightly behind, at least in my personal use, slightly behind iOS, the keypad on iOS, on the iPad. And then probably comes in maybe a little bit behind or tied with Android, with Honeycomb. So you can see, here's the video, loads up right in the browser, quick and easy to use. You can see there's a little lag there. You can see there's a little lag there between the video and the actual sound, but you can see right in the browser page, it loads up. You don't need to open up YouTube or anything like that unless you want to. But again, very quick, very easy to use. So let's go to messaging. I want to show you messaging, because that's probably the more exciting thing here. Now obviously you can do one of two things with messaging. You can link up your webOS device, your HP Veer, or when it comes out, the HP Pre 3, and you can use this device as kind of a conduit to send messages, to take phone calls, things like that. So once they're connected via that bridge, you can send your text messages over here. You don't have to pick up the phone with this small display and shoot out the text messages that way. So over here you can see I have Old Man McTweety at Gmail synced to this, so you can see available. It's showing my Google Talk, so it's bringing up Google Talk by default. I can come over here. I don't have any online buddies, so nobody's online. I can start a new conversation, and here's what it looks like. So I can compose, a name or email address, and I can say something like, "The quick brown fox is happy." Quick brown fox. Quick brown fox is happy. So again, pretty easy to type on, and relatively easy to type on while flat. You can remove the keyboard by clicking that, and then to get to these little individual ones, you just press and hold and scroll up. So when you need a comma or a period or something of that nature, all you have to do is scroll up, and it's pretty relatively straightforward and pretty easy. Like I said, when you get your Veer or your Pre 3 and you sync it up to this via Bluetooth, you can also send messages, like I said. So if the phone's down on the couch and you're in the chair watching TV and you have your tablet with you, the functionality between the two is pretty impressive, which is something I do like about webOS and about the touchpad, is the functionality between the two devices. Very similar to the Bridge, BlackBerry Bridge, which you may be familiar with on the Playbook. But overall, messaging interface very similar, just optimized for that tablet form factor. And you can see if I want to, I can click here and scroll it over, or I can scroll over all the way. So you can see I can either make it full screen, or I can bring over that thing. And same with the email. We'll open up email so you can see what it looks like, and you'll get the idea of what I'm referring to here. You have your account. So if I had 5 Gmail accounts, they'll come up right here, and then you can see I can scroll over, and I can make each thing larger if I so desire. So a lot of functionality, really optimizing that 9.7 inches of tablet space. And for whatever reason, my Gmail is not wanting to sync properly, so I'm not pulling, none of my inbox messages are coming up. But just to show you what a fresh message looks like, I can say to phone dog, and I can say, whoops, we're going to say phone dog at pd. Which is not obviously the address, but click enter, and we'll come over here and say hi. So you can see, easy to use, and it doesn't take up the full screen, it takes up part of that screen, and then when you remove this, you can see, and then I can send it off from there. And then I can also mark it as high priority. I can do typical message stuff, save as draft. I'm going to discard it, and then it brings up my email. But again, with several cards open, I can scroll right through and leave those open. So if you're thinking, hey, this looks a lot like QNX on the playbook, well, a lot of people think that it was kind of copied from webOS, or kind of something that was adopted from webOS. Now, one of my favorite features, just type. And when you go over here and we'll type in, old man McTweety, for example, old man, and you can see just type brings up everything. I mean, it brings up, and you can see all contacts, content, or actions. So if I have all here, you can see old man, brings up the phone number. I can search Google. I can search using Maps, Wikipedia, all those different options. HP App Catalog, which they finally changed from Palm. And then I can do some quick actions like a new message, and bam, it pops up with old man right there in the title. So just type's a nice functionality, and it's really good search, a very good search protocol. We'll go back to do old man again so you can see what it looks like. But it's nice to bring up everything there, and it brings up the contacts. So if you have that email from somebody, you're like, they referenced an old man. I can't remember where they referenced it. You can bring this up and hopefully get some insight as to where it is. And same thing with your contacts. If a contact has, you're looking for Mike, you type in Mike, and it's going to bring up all your contacts with Mike. So very functional, and you can change some of the stuff based on preferences. Bring that up so you can see, and you can either add or remove stuff as you see fit. So if you don't want the calendar to pop up or whatever to pop up, for example, you can change that if you so desire.